I never could have anticipated what was about to happen when I opened the door to the mother of the child I was babysitting. In a matter of seconds, she accused me of doing drugs and threatened to call the police. Little did I know, this was just the beginning of a terrifying ordeal. Here's how it all went down. It was a typical weekday evening when I found myself at home, getting ready for a babysitting gig for a family friend. I was in my early 20s, responsible, and always happy to help out when I could. As I went about my usual routine of tidying up and preparing some snacks for the child, I never could have anticipated what was about to happen. I was sitting on the couch, scrolling through my phone when I heard the doorbell ring. It was earlier than I expected, so I was a bit surprised, but I got up to answer the door. As I opened it, I was greeted by the mother of the child I was babysitting. I'd met her a few times before and knew that she could be difficult sometimes, but today she acted beyond my expectations. Without even saying hello, she immediately accused me of doing drugs while I was supposed to be taking care of her child. I was shocked and confused. I had never even smoked a cigarette in my life, let alone done drugs. I tried to explain that I had a medical condition that required me to take medication regularly, but Karen wouldn't hear it. She insisted that I was lying and said that she could tell just by looking at me that I was on drugs. She then pointed out the bottle of pills I was holding, which I had not realized. I could feel my blood boiling as Karen continued to make snide comments about my appearance and my supposed drug use. I couldn't believe that she would accuse me of something so serious without any evidence. I tried to remain calm and composed, but it was difficult as the situation escalated. Karen continued to insist that I was lying and that I was on drugs. I tried to explain that I had a medical condition and that I needed to take medication regularly, but she wouldn't listen. She continued to make snide comments about my appearance and my supposed drug use. "I can't believe you would do this while you're babysitting," Karen said, shaking her head. "I'm not doing anything wrong," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. "I'm taking my medication like I'm supposed to." "You expect me to believe that?" Karen scoffed. "You look like you're on something. You're acting weird." "I'm not acting weird," I insisted. "I'm just trying to take care of your child." Karen's eyes narrowed. "I think I should search your belongings for drugs," she said, starting to move toward my bag. "You can't do that," I protested, stepping in front of her. "That's an invasion of privacy, and it's not necessary. I'm not doing anything wrong." "You're not fooling anyone," Karen said, her voice rising. "I have the right to search your things. I'm the parent of the child you're babysitting." "I don't think that's necessary," I said, trying to remain calm. "I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just trying to take care of your child." "You're not taking care of my child," Karen spat. "You're too busy getting high. I can't believe I trusted you with my child." "I'm not getting high," I exclaimed, feeling my frustration and anger mounting. "I'm taking my medication. I need it to function. Can't you understand that?" "I understand perfectly well," Karen said, her tone mocking. "You're a drug addict, and you're putting my child in danger. I'm going to call the police." I felt a surge of panic as Karen reached for her phone. I couldn't believe this was happening. I had never been accused of anything like this before. I didn't know what to do or how to prove my innocence. Karen's accusations were getting louder and more aggressive, and my heart was racing with fear and anger. I couldn't believe that she would accuse me of something so serious without any evidence, but I knew that I had to remain calm and composed if I wanted to get through this. "I'm not doing drugs," I repeated, my voice shaking slightly. "I'm telling you the truth. I have a medical condition that requires me to take medication regularly." Karen scoffed. "Yeah, right," she said, rolling her eyes. "I've heard that one before. You're trying to cover up your addiction." "I'm not addicted to anything," I insisted, feeling my frustration and anger mounting. "I'm just taking my medication like I'm supposed to. I need it to function properly." "I don't believe you," Karen said, her voice rising. "You're a liar and a drug addict. I'm going to call the police and have you arrested." I felt a surge of panic as Karen reached for her phone. I couldn't believe this was happening. I'd never been accused of anything like this before. I didn't know what to do or how to prove my innocence. But then, something inside me snapped. I couldn't take it anymore. I stood up straight, looked Karen directly in the eyes, and said firmly, "You know what? I'm done with this. I don't have to put up with your accusations and your insults. I'm taking care of your child, and I'm doing it responsibly. If you can't trust me, then that's your problem." Karen looked taken aback. "Excuse me?" she said, her voice wavering slightly. "I said, I'm done with this," I repeated, feeling a sense of strength and determination growing inside me. "I don't have to prove myself to you. You're the one who needs to trust me. I'm taking care of your child, and I'm doing it responsibly. If you can't see that, then I don't know what to tell you." Karen opened her mouth as if to say something, but then closed it again. She looked at me for a few moments, her eyes flickering with anger and confusion. I could tell that she wasn't used to being talked to like this. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, She spoke again. "I can't believe you're talking to me like this," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "I'm the parent here. I have the right to know what's going on." "I'm not denying you that right," I said, my voice calmer now. "But you're not going to accuse me of something without any evidence. You're not going to insult me and make me feel like I'm doing something wrong when I'm not. I'm doing my job and I'm doing it well. If you can't see that, then maybe you should find someone else to take care of your child." Karen looked at me for a few more moments, her eyes flickering uncertainly. I could tell that she was struggling to come up with a response. Finally, she seemed to make a decision. "Fine," she said, her voice cold. "I'll stop, but don't think that this is over. I'll be watching you, and if I find out that you've been lying to me, there will be consequences." "I'm not lying to you," I said, feeling a sense of confidence wash over me. "But if you want to leave, that's your choice." I remained calm and composed, despite feeling a sense of satisfaction and relief once I saw Karen's face falter. I decided to take the high road and not gloat or rub it in her face. Instead, I continued to act professionally and responsibly, focusing on the task at hand. Karen seemed to realize that perhaps she indeed made a mistake, and her attitude towards me changed slightly. She started to act more civilly and less aggressively, although there was still a hint of resentment and distrust in her voice. "I'm sorry for accusing you like that," she said, her voice low. "I should have known better." "It's okay," I said, trying to be understanding. "It's understandable that you would be concerned about your child's safety, but I hope that this experience has taught you to give people the benefit of the doubt before making assumptions." We didn't say anything more than that. I was too upset to say anything else. I watched Karen leave, her child in hand. I spent the rest of the evening playing games, watching movies, and having fun. I could feel a sense of satisfaction and accomplishment growing inside me as I realized that I had handled the situation with professionalism and responsibility. However, I learned an important lesson. I had to be more upfront about my medical condition, especially with people who weren't aware of my medication. If I didn't, who knows what I'd be accused of doing next. Wow. What a crazy story. Can you believe that Karen accused the babysitter of doing drugs when it was just their medication? This is why we should always give people the benefit of the doubt before making assumptions. Glad it all worked out in the end. I live in an apartment with my wife for 5 years. This situation happened recently. I was sitting at our kitchen table eating dinner and playing Pokemon Pinball on my Game Boy Color. I had our kitchen window open, with the blinds moved so I could get a good breeze from outside, and I thought, what could go wrong? Well, enter Karen and her son. I had never seen her before. I was playing my game when I heard something behind me. I assumed it was the family of birds that lived in the tree right outside, or the family of bunnies. I was wrong. A boy asked me what I was doing. My back was to him, so I explained that I was eating dinner and playing a game. I told him about the game and the handheld system it was for. He said, okay, and went to his mom, who was a few feet away. I went back to what I was doing. Well, the boy came to my window again and asked if he could play it. I explained that I didn't know him, I wouldn't give my stuff to just anyone, and maybe his mom could get him one. There are a disc replay store and a half-price books nearby that probably have it. He said, oh, okay, and went back to his mom. Well, the mom didn't like hearing the word no. Now she was at my window, not asking, but demanding that I give my video games to her as a peace offering. Peace offering for what? I again said no. I wasn't going to give my stuff to anyone. I had no idea if I would ever get it back. She didn't like it and got mad, stomping her feet a few times. I closed my window, closed the blinds, and went back to what I was doing. Fine? No, far from it. A few minutes later, I saw the flashing lights. When I saw 3 police cars stop at the apartment building I live in, I checked outside. Karen was talking to an officer before he managed to get out of his police car. She was pointing toward my apartment. I knew immediately what I was getting into. 2 officers went into the mailroom and pressed my doorbell. I opened the door and let them into my apartment. I explained that I was eating dinner and playing a game, and her son had asked about my game, but I said no. I did explain about 2 nearby stores where he could get it if the stores had the handheld and game of it. I was asked if I ever punched her son and took it from him. I said no, I never touched him, and I never stole from him. It was my game and my stuff. I heard Karen yelling outside to the officers on the sidewalk that I should be arrested for assault to a minor, and jailed. I explained again that I never touched him, never touched her, and showed both officers where I was sitting and where they were outside my kitchen window. My neighbor in the next building called out to the officers that he heard everything and has the interaction on camera. His landlord installed a few cameras due to package thieves in the area and wanted to help catch them by putting up a few cameras. Lucky for me, his landlord was there and showed the police the footage. Karen went white and started yelling that we are horrible people, that we lied, and that she's going to sue. She got a nice talking to about misuse of 911. Her son was nice. I saw him with his father a few times. The boy says hi to me. The dad apologized to me about his ex-wife. I guess his son filled him in. Apparently, this wasn't the first time she did this, which is why he divorced her. He has full custody now because she assaulted a boy in a mall and tried to take his Nintendo Switch. She's in jail. The boy did get a Game Boy Color from his father later on. It's unbelievable that someone would actually call the police over a video game. It really makes you think about how people can react in unexpected ways, and how important it is to be aware of other people's boundaries and possessions. It's definitely a good reminder to respect others and their belongings. While it's unfortunate that the situation escalated to involve the police, it's reassuring to know that justice was ultimately served. Little memories like this have stuck around in the back of my brain for decades, and I think I've finally found a use for them. To entertain strangers at parties, of course. Growing up, I was fortunate enough to be able to travel and see bits and pieces of the world beyond my home state. This was well before the age of entitled people, cell phones and such. This was back when phone numbers had 7 digits. So my mom, brother, and I, as well as a couple of relatives, were on a Caribbean trip via a cruise line. Carnival, if you're curious. I was 9 or 10 years old, so given that fact, there were kids groups that took me away while my older relatives, most of them were in their upper 20s or older, did adult things, saw comedy shows, drank, etc. Even my brother was put in the teens young adults group, which was different than the kids group. My group consisted of kindergartners to early middle schoolers. Naturally, by day 2 or 3 of the week-long cruise, best friends had already been made, and we all sort of knew one another, given that for about 4 hours a day, we'd all be corralled off from our respective caretakers to hang out. Days at sea, as opposed to ported, were particularly long, so our activity advisors usually had lots of stuff planned in the evenings. Well, on one particular day, they managed to secure the promenade dance floor for the kids. There was going to be a dance competition, wherein prizes would be awarded whenever the counselors and a few appointed kid judges decided what the theme of the competition was going to be. One of the competition themes comes up, Weirdest Dance. This was the only one I had a chance of winning. Trust, I'm not a dancer, but I'm weird. And that's a 50-50 shot. The prize was a pair of cheap plastic sunglasses that had the name of the cruise line on the side. They definitely just had a whole box overflowing with them back in their youth staff break room. So it goes without saying, I won that competition. Weirdest dancer. I would accept that win with pride. I remember the song. I remember why I did the dance I did. I remember the movie the song was in. So they called me out, and the counselor hands me a little plain white box wherein the sunglasses were. I'm just about to open it when I feel a feeble yet insistent tug on the box. A small child, probably 4, said, "Mine!" And he tried to yank the box out of my hand, which was literally twice the size of his own. I didn't know who this kid was, and nobody had ever seen him before. But he was holding on to the box with this indignant, angry look on his face. I didn't let go, but I didn't try to yank it out of his hand. I just looked over at the counselors, who were probably, in hindsight, not really trained to deal with semi-disciplinary issues. Well, the kid had his own firepower. We had never seen him before because his mother had never brought him to one of the kid meets. I say that because she had decided that with this being an at-sea day, this would be the day to do it. I might add that this was on the 5th or 6th day late stage in the cruise's 7-day expedition. His mom had been supervising her child since the counselors didn't really know if it was a good idea to leave a young child alone with perfect strangers at this point. And so, in a style that would not come into vogue for another 20 years, a blonde, middle-aged, pixie-haired, rotund woman comes over to 9-year-old me and says, "My child won those. Hand them over." I ask, is his name my name? She responds with, "They called for, not my name." The counselor comes over and says, "No, we did call it for me." The mother says, "This is my child's only time hanging out with kids his own age. Don't make it a bad memory for him." The counselor looks at me and I look back at her questioningly. And then I acquiesce. They're just cheap sunglasses. The child gives me this look that can only be described as smug little guy and hops off to open his prize. Well, not a minute later, the counselor slips me another box while the kid is off with his mom opening his sunglasses box. I got some stupid, gaudy blue shades that I would cherish for years to come. You can never lose the cheap pair. You only ever lose expensive sunglasses. The music started again, and the dance party resumed. I wore my sunglasses proudly, even though the place was decorated like a neon nightclub. Well, soon enough we heard whining, loud bawling, cries that sounded like coughs. That kind of crying where there are no words, only hoarse groans of a child, scorned. The kid was clutching a pair of sunglasses, which he seemed none too excited about. His face was red and utterly wet with tears and snot. The mom steps on the dance floor once more and beelines right towards me. "My child wants to trade with you," she says. I could not believe my ears, only managing to muster out an appalled, "Huh?" She tells me, "My child got pink sunglasses. He hates pink and blue is his favorite color." I put on my best 9-year-old deal-with-it face and said, "Sorry, I like blue too. If only I had a second chance. If I had a second chance to hit her with an anti-entitled missile with my big 33-year-old meme brain, I would, but alas, what could have been? Instead, I got the pleasure of watching her drag her crying kid out of the dance club through my blue sunglasses." This story had me laughing so hard. I can totally relate to those cheap plastic sunglasses from cruise ships. And that entitled mom? Yikes, some people just don't know how to handle their kids. What a hilarious memory to look back to. So, a bit of background. I work at a call center doing customer service for the e-commerce arm of a large chain of warehouse stores. Among many other things, we sell appliances. We also have very frequent sales. Lately, I presume because marketing has a vested interest in ruining customer service's day. We've been doing a lot of sales that hinge on the customer spending a certain amount on qualifying items in one purchase, or buying a certain quantity of qualifying items. Naturally, most calls pertaining to these sales are along the lines of, "If I had known this promo was going on, I would have bought these in the same order. Can you do anything?" Or, "I bought these items, and the next day that sale started. Can you do anything?" These calls are not what this is about. We have a pretty forgiving price adjustment policy in place for handling them, and it's no wonder that they're common. After all, these are great deals. But for some people, they're just not good enough. Picture this. It's 7:30-ish, near the end of my shift, but not near enough for me to get excited yet. A call comes in. I give my thank you for calling spiel and ask the customer how I can help today. She says she's thinking of buying a few things but has some questions. She gives the item numbers she wants and their appliances, so I'm mentally queuing up my answers about installation. It's included and we provide the kits. The return policy, it's 90 days, but we have a warranty department that covers the unit for 2 years, and extended warranties, we offer them. Then she mentions the items she's buying qualify for both the spend $2,000 get $300 off promo and the buy 2 get $100 off promo, and starts talking about how much each item costs. So the fridge is over $2,000 and the washer and dryer is $1,600, so it's almost $2,000. I'm not sure where she's going with this, but I'm still assuming it's a normal destination. Then she takes a left so hard, it practically snaps my neck. So can I get $300 per item instead of $300 off total, or can I just buy these on separate orders and get $300 for each of them? OP note. She was getting an extra $100 on this order already because she was buying 2 appliances. Also, her reasoning was because her total was almost $4,000, which is not how spend-get promos work. I've already located her in our records just in case she had some recent delivery issue or something that she was expecting compensation for. Customers are usually aggressively forthcoming with this information, but it never hurts to check. Last call was in December of last year and appears to have been resolved per the call notes. I try to tell her as gingerly as possible that's not really how that promotion works. You can absolutely place them as 2 orders, but they both need to be $2,000 or more. Can I buy something that's $400 with the washer and dryer to get the promo and then return it? You can, but you'd lose part of the credit. Since it's applied to the whole order and not a specific item, the system splits the amount between the items on the order. It'd be a relatively small portion, but you wouldn't get the full credit. Then can you just give me another $100 off the full order? I naively think she hasn't noticed the discount amount on her order total or something. It's more common than you think. Oh, you're already getting an extra $100. These items also qualify for the buy more, save more promo, so you'd actually get $400 off if you ordered them both. No, I want an extra $100 off. Scenario 1, I place 2 orders, one with the fridge, and then one with the washer and dryer, plus a vacuum or something. OP note, a vacuum would not qualify for the promo, and then I return the vacuum and get most of the credit back. Scenario 2, you just give me an extra $100 off and we skip that whole dance. There was another scenario. Scenario 3, to which I only kept myself. I am not beholden to your false ultimatums and will not give you an extra discount on your already discounted order that you have not even placed yet, just because you think you should get it. I make a show of asking my team. I drop a message in the group chat saying, I'm at an absolute loss, man. I have no idea how to tell this customer that we can't give her an extra $100 off her order that qualifies for both our ongoing promos. And my supervisor gives me the requisite. I asked my mom and she said no, card to play. I apologize, ma'am, but I just spoke to my team and we are not able to discount this order any further, I say. Shen then replies, okay, I'll see if I can get this at competing business then. They price match plus 10%, you know. I resist the urge to tell her that they can afford to do that because they charge extra for installation. She asks me if I can get her an earlier delivery date on an item she has not ordered yet. I tell her that we're not able to formally expedite appliance deliveries, but that the item ships directly from a distribution center, and depending on when it reaches the delivery facility, we might be able to get it to her earlier than the site estimates anyway. She hangs up on me. I tell my supervisor that she threatened to go to a competitor and got a mere laugh in response. I wonder how often this strategy works for her. Anyway, the moral of the story is don't work in customer service. That was horrible. This story is crazy, but unfortunately not surprising. Working in customer service can be a nightmare. Salute to all those working in customer service. Your job is not easy. If you enjoyed today's stories, check out the other videos on your screen now. Submit your own stories at you'rethejerk.com. Subscribe now or you're definitely the jerk.